An ecosystem is a biological community of interacting organisms and their physical environment. Ecosystem sustainability is a highly debated issue currently. Sustainability is defined as the avoidance of the depletion of natural resources in order to maintain an ecological balance. The term ecosystem refers to communities of organisms and their environment. Ecosystems can occur almost anywhere, whether it's in the ocean or even a small composite system in your house. All of Earth's life and its environment are a part of the ecosystem known as the biosphere.
Humans have changed ecosystems more rapidly and extensively in the last 50 years than in any comparable period of human history. Humans changed to meet the growing demands for food, fresh water, timber, fiber, and fuel, which have caused a substantial loss in diversity of the life on Earth. Ecological restoration is an attempt to reset the ecological clock and return a damaged ecosystem to its pre-disturbance state, to turn a disused farm into a prairie, or to convert a parcel of low-lying acreage into a vigorous wetland. A current success story is a restoration of Lamphere Dunes unit of the Humboldt Bay National Wildlife Refuge by the Nature Conservancy and its partners. The elimination of the non-native grass and restoration of plant communities was accomplished with more than 2,000 person-hours per acre of volunteer labor over 3 years. By 1997, native plant cover had increased by almost 50%.
The building blocks of ecosystems are ecological pyramids, which are graphical representations used to represent the energy and the trophic levels of ecosystems. Ecological food webs are based on the productivity of autotrophs, which are organisms capable of using inorganic forms of energy to help make organic compounds.
The problem with using an ecosystem to define a management area is that boundaries of jurisdictional authority rarely follow the ecological ones. This means that by following political boundaries, ecological components can be left out of the management plan, so people are forced to manage only part of an ecosystem. Some ecosystems you're probably familiar with are tundras, coral reef, desert, grasslands, savanna, swamps, freshwater, taiga, estuaries, tide pool, and soil.
What are your thoughts on ecosystem management in the United States?
I think that, like many things, there could always be more ecosystem management in the United States. I think the United States, like a lot of other countries, gets into the habit of focusing on certain aspects of the ecosystem instead of looking at the ecosystem as a whole, which I think some of that comes from just a lack of understanding, but some of that comes from that tends to be the easier or the more popular solution. But I think certainly more can be done and a more holistic approach should be taken.
Do you feel that we are progressing or regressing in ecological restoration and why?
I feel like actually overall we are progressing. I know it's hard when there are certain movements that are very clearly moving against, but I think there are also there's an increasing number of movements that are for and doing really positive things. And I think that goes for ecosystem management, that goes for things like global climate change. I think there's a lot of really good stuff being done. We just need more of that and more positivity around that, and I think that people will eventually all catch on.
What is the most important factor in protecting our ecosystems?
I think the most important factor is protecting the plants and protecting the trees and all the vegetation. At the end of the day, they're the basehold level of our ecosystems and of our food chains and food webs. Without them, we really have nothing. So kind of prioritizing them, thinking about all the factors that might either positively or negatively impact those plants. We should start there, because then if that's healthy, then everything else is going to be healthy as well.
All right, and lastly, what's your favorite ecosystem to teach about and why?
My favorite ecosystem to teach about is definitely the salt marsh. I think it's a really fun ecosystem. I have gone on field trips before where you get to go into salt marsh and it's very muddy and it's very exciting, but I think it's also a really cool ecosystem because it's unique in so many ways. It's not only very salty, but it's also very anoxic. There's not a lot of oxygen and a lot of organisms have to deal with that. It's inundated with water, so it's just a really, really cool place. It has so many specific organisms with specific adaptations that make it really interesting.
Awesome, thank you.